All right, y'all. Welcome to the Trendsetter podcast. I'm your host, LaTonya Baker. And today on the show, we got Mr. Terranze Sharp. Terranze, what brings you to Milwaukee? What brings you back to Milwaukee?
Well, what brings me back to Milwaukee is that my mother, she was ill. And so God grace, she's got better now. And so you invited me and hey, I'm here for you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that your mom is feeling better, especially seeing you. I'm pretty sure that helped out a lot.
Yeah.
So, Terranze, what do you have going on with yourself these days? Tell us about, for the viewers that don't know you, what you do, like what do you have going on with your life?
Well, right now, I deal with the youth. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a service provider for the youth. And I'm in the city of Memphis. Okay. And so that's my full-time occupation right now. And I also have my property rental business up here, which I attend to while I'm up here. So that's all two things I got going on right now.
Okay. Tell us about the work that you do with the youth and like why what encouraged you to work with the youth?
Well, because there's an excessive need for the youth to see black male images in their society and black male images in their lives because of the fact that a lot of our youth don't have fathers or uncles that are actively participating in their life.
Okay.
And so based upon that and the fact that my own personal lived experiences draws me to this work. This is like my life passion, my life desire to uplift the black kids because they are our future.
Okay.
And
so what type of population do you currently help? Like what's their background look like?
Their background looks like criminally involved, high risk, gang affiliation, things of that nature.
Okay.
And so the highest of the high risk, the ones that are out here active and engaging in the highest level of criminal activity.
Nice. So when you're mentoring these youth or when you're pouring into these youth, do you use like personal life experiences? Do you share that with them when you're helping them or trying to help them?
I use my lived experiences as a reminder, but I meet them where they're at and then I go from there. Okay. And so based upon what they're going through in their life at that time, I try to make connection points, and through those connection points, I build a rapport, then going to build a relationship with them.
What's been some of your challenges?
The family dynamic.
Gotcha.
And so once you understand the family dynamic, then you'll be able to understand the youth. But a lot of times when you meet somebody, you don't understand the family dynamic. You just meet the person. And so that has been the most challenging part.
So you mainly work with young males, is that correct?
Correct.
And are most of those males African American?
Most of them are.
Okay.
But I work with all races of young men.
Okay.
And so,
do you think that most of these males have a better chance at becoming better males from a man's perspective, or do you think a woman can do the same thing?
I think the biggest challenge, and I agree to the fact that males being involved in these youth's life is more so an asset than the mothers, right? Because of the simple fact is that males bring forth an identifiable trait, and then they have someone who they can model themselves after. Okay. And so a lot of my movements and my actions and my behavior is modeled after my father. And so because of his presence in my life and the help of rearing me, it's an unconscious thing. And so men is essential in raising the development of young boys.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. So I'm going to pivot a little bit. You and I have had conversations about the perspective of a woman raising a man and the perspective of a man raising a man. And what is your opinion on women who raise gentlemen? Because I've made statements that I raise my sons to be gentlemen. I understand that I'm not capable of raising them to be a man because I'm not a man, but I believe that I am capable of raising them to be gentlemen, and they are gentlemen. What is your feedback on that, or your opinion on that?
My opinion on women raising men to be gentlemen is them wanting to be the boyfriend that they don't have.
Why do I keep hearing men say that?
Because the simple fact is women have an ideal image of what a man is. And so women oftentimes project their ideal image of a man onto their son, on how they want a man to be, based upon the man that they do not have in their life. So therein lies the issue.
So you think that's an issue?
I think it's an issue in the fact that they're raising them not to understand themselves because of the fact that it's a gender issue.
So you don't think a woman can raise a son or a man?
I'm not saying that a woman can't raise a man. She can only go so far without having a solid male figure in the child's life. Like if she doesn't have a husband or a boyfriend who's a solid male presence in the child's life, she can have an uncle or his grandfather or a cousin that's a solid male image who could be a positive role model for the youth in order for the youth to get the male aspect of life that he need in order to sustain himself.
So what if she does not have any of that? Because there's women in this world that exist that they don't have access to any of that. So what do they do? What do you suggest they do as a single mother to ensure that their son is raised properly?
What I think that single women should do who does not have positive male images in their life, sign them up for mentoring programs. There's a lot of programs that's available out here for that are positive on the association side of male images. And so like the Big Brothers and they got the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program, right? Those programs are put in place so that we can fill in the gaps that's necessary that you might not be able to fill. And so by them aligning it with a positive male image or a male figure will allow them the opportunity to see what a male is and how to function as a male to get connection points.
So what do you think these males miss out on when they don't have any of that? Let's say a mother fails to do that. What do they miss out on?
The males miss out on the self-regulation part because we know by nature women are emotional. And so when the young man is not able to or being taught how to regulate his emotion, then what does make him? He's emotional, he's outspoken, and he don't understand how to regulate or have self-control or self-discipline from the male aspect.
Okay. So you and I had an offline conversation about, you mentioned that you believe that males basically respond and make decisions based off their reality, and most women respond and make decisions based off of our emotions. Can you elaborate on that?
The reason why I believe that women make decisions based on their emotions and men make decisions based on their reality is because of the fact that we live two different roles.
Okay.
Right? Men have to deal with the provider, protector.
They're supposed to, or they do?
I can only talk about for what I do.
Okay,
right?
Thank you for clarifying.
And so
that.
therefore, hey, listen.
Because I know somebody gonna ask.
And so it's a different set of responsibilities, right? Because the man role, by the way that I was raised and socialized, is that we essentially take care of the house. We protect everything that got to do with the house. So, example, me and you out, someone says something disrespectful to you. Your power lies in the energy. Your energy moves your man in a positive space or in a negative space.
So right? You mean like if I don't respond or I do respond, or how I respond is how you're going to respond? Exactly.
Your response is based upon how severe the situation or circumstances go.
Okay.
If you're a woman who doesn't know how to regulate her emotions and pop off, the situation puts both of our life in danger. As opposed to if you're a woman who's mild-mannered and deal with it in a strategic and tactful way, we can better manage the situation to where everybody leaves out safe and secure.
Okay. So when you speak on that, you're not just assuming this is every woman, every man. You're just basing this off of your experience, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm basing it off my experiences and the experiences of our environment in which we see around it, because we use our environment as our context of day-to-day living. You remember when you was growing up and you seen certain women in the streets and you was like, I don't want to be like her. Or certain people in your environment that you was closely associated with, you was like, I'm not going to model my behavior out of her. And so that's the same as for men. You look at men, you be like, no, I don't want to be like that. So it's a journey of learning that is unconscious, but we take away the good and then we also bring on some bad traits in our journey of self-discovery. Okay.
Let me take it a step further, because you and I talk a lot about communication.
Okay.
Let's talk about, what does effective communication look like between men and women, or what are the barriers between men and women when it comes to communication? Like, what's been your experience?
Effective communication between men and women is when you meet a person where they at, right?
Explain that for me.
Say, if you've been single for like 3 years, I've been single for 3 years,
Okay.
right? It's a reason why we took that time and that gap in order to remain single.
Mm-hmm.
And so out of all the people in the world that we can run into, we run into each other. And as we get to know each other, from the initial contact, you set a baseline on how you communicate with the person. Either people talk at you or they talk to you. And a lot of times we get people that talk at us instead of talking to us and not understanding the language that we use, because language is important when you communicate with people. And the descriptive language that you use shapes your perception of that person.
So you think that what is the key to better communication as it relates to men and women?
Take the pride and the ego out of the relational part. When there's not effective communication, it's based upon my pride of who I think that I am and the projected image that I have of myself.
Are you prideful?
Of course I am. We all are prideful. Are you prideful?
Please explain.
Are you prideful?
What do you mean by prideful?
My pride lies in the fact that I understand who I am and I have a clear-cut way of dealing with people, because I understand when I'm relating to you, I'm giving a part of myself to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's in any capacity. And so I take pride in building the relationships that I have with my people, because I look at the value of the people that's in my life.
Okay.
So that's what my pride lies within.
Okay.
The fact that I'm attracting people who are quality, who are, you know what I'm saying, well nurtured and care for a person that is fully developed to where we can have tough conversations and still see the value within each other.
Okay. And the reason I asked you to explain, and thank you for explaining, is because when you say prideful, well, most of us hear prideful, we think it's something negative. Oh, you prideful. You know what I'm saying? That's a response that people give when they feel like someone is not really being honest or clear about what they, what their expectations are. I consider myself to be accountable, but it took me to get there. I wasn't always accountable. I used to be very offended. I got offended really easily.
Okay.
I was very offensive because I was always, I didn't like to be talked at and judged. And a lot of the times, you hear people say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And sometimes it's both. So what I had to do was really think about, okay, let me think about some things that a lot of people are saying about me. Maybe there's some truth to that. Let me analyze that. And so a lot of people would tell me, you do too much for people. You just overdo it. Your heart is too big. But these were the same people that I was doing things for. So I'm like, how can I receive that from you when I'm doing things for you? And so I had to really analyze that and say, ooh, I think I am doing too much for people. And I can't be mad about it because I'm allowing it to happen. I'm teaching people how to treat me. So I had to really start taking some accountability for myself and my own flaws and really work at not doing that anymore. And when I say accountability, I also learned that if I offend someone or hurt someone, I may not understand how or why I did it, but I will take ownership that it made them feel that way. Look, I'm sorry it made you feel that way, but that was definitely not my intention. And that's where my accountability has come in at. So when you say prideful, I'm like, that's a little negative, but the way you just explained it, I can kind of see that.
I want to say something about accountability.
Okay.
Accountability is key, because we hold each other accountable. However, you said something that caught my attention.
And what was that?
Other people said to you, your heart is too big. Why is you doing this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all service providers of each other. Right?
Right.
And so every day, I maximize my experiences because I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. So when I go to sleep at night, I go to bed thinking like, okay, I did everything that I can do for the day, and I rest easy in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you allow others to shape and tell you to take away who you are or project their thoughts and images on how they perceive you into your own person, you're no longer making decisions that's based upon your true nature.
I can see that to a certain extent. And when I say other people, I mean people in my circle who I value their opinion.
Right.
I think that your circle is very important, and people in your circle should hold you accountable and should point out things that they feel are not valuable to your life. So when I say other people, a lot of other people that really didn't bring value to my life, yes, they did say it, and that's why I couldn't receive it.
Okay.
But when it was the people who I valued their opinion saying that, I'm like, you know what, let me kind of take a look at this.
Okay.
So for example, let's just say you were a jokester.
Yes.
And you are.
Yes.
But let's just say your jokes were offensive to women. And a lot of women told you that. At some point, you're not going to sit and say, you know what, let me think about what I'm saying to these women. Because I had like 12 women in the past 2 months tell me that my jokes were offensive. Let me think about that. Is that something that you're going to think about? Or are you just going to continue with your jokes despite what women are saying? Even if these are not women in your immediate circle.
Yeah. All of us have accountability partners in the relationship that we have with the people in our life.
Not all of us. We all need it.
I'm saying I'm talking about the people that I know.
Okay.
Right? Because I can only speak to that which I know.
Okay.
And so the people that I know,
I'm still in that, by the way.
And so, like, I have accountability partners in my friendships with both males and
am I one of your accountability partners?
Of course you
I just want to make sure that
yes,
I will hold you accountable.
Yes, we hold each other accountable all the time.
Thank you very much.
Right? And so I only give you a piece, right? The conversation that I have with you, I don't have with somebody else because to me, relationships are sacred, right? Mm-hmm. And so we could talk about everything that got to do with relational. We could talk about everything that got to do with self-development, personal development. But again, when I'm over here with my other feelings, I'm thinking about my mind is in a whole different space. We running business decisions off on each other. We running how we can continue to do stuff for the people in the community. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole different dynamic. So you don't never give no one person your whole all unless it's your relational partner.
I can see that.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like when you have the people in your circle, the people that's in your immediate circle are the people that's an extension of your personality traits. And so Niccolo Machiavelli said, you are judged by the men you have about you. And so when you get to the room with your people, they know that you're the center of attention, but they want to see what everybody else that you have around you, your inner circle, what are they made of?
Indeed.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so your whole inner circle is like your complete aspect of self.
Okay. You're a smart guy, Mr. Sharp.
Oh, thank you.
So I have another question for you. Let's talk about learned experiences or just things that we learned in our past relationship. I always like to know, so it's easy for a person to talk about what the other person did wrong. Right. What are some things that you think that you've learned in your past relationship, maybe some flaws that you may have had and things that you would probably do different in your next journey?
Things that I did wrong in my past relationship is the fact that I think I'm too easygoing.
You easygoing?
Yeah, because like certain things, it's like, because I cater to the person, right? And then I'm a builder. So I'm always looking to build and add to. And there always is a challenge in that.
For you or for the other person?
For both of us.
Okay.
Right? Because based upon my lived experiences, right? I understand that certain decisions that I made in my life don't afford me the luxury of having a settled and secure future. So I'm always finding ways and avenues in order to secure my future. So when I'm 65 or 70, I don't have to be in the workforce.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And so when I'm in relation with my partner, my mind is like, together we can do this together. Because when you're rolling with somebody, y'all are stronger together as a unit than individuals. And so based upon the women that I attract, they're strong, career-oriented women. And when you talk to them about the male aspect of life and like, listen, we can do this together, they're on a board until it's actually time to implement. And so the submission part is a struggle with relationships that I have with the women that I attract.
Why do you think that is?
I think that is because the women that I attract are so strong and so independent that they don't feel that they need to submit.
So they don't feel like they need you.
Exactly.
What do you suggest? Like, what is your suggestion to women who feel like they don't need a man because they're already independent?
I think my suggestion to women who feel that they don't need a man is that we weren't socialized to be by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't socialized to think that what I accomplish in life and what you accomplish in life, that don't define us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we live in a material society now, to where they think like, my job is, I got a master's degree, so I'm this type of person. You still the same person, you just have documentation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so your business and my business, we are productive, right? But the faction of the relational man and woman part
Mm-hmm.
becomes lost based on the fact that of what you accomplished and what you acquired puts your mind into a different status, because most of us came from nothing. And so we built something in order to provide for ourselves and live the lives that we feel that we need. And so when you can do that together as a unit, it takes you further. And your identity is not lost because you have a strong-willed man and I have a strong-willed woman. And we communicate and we compromise on certain things and we grow together.
Okay. So what would you do different? Or what are you doing different to prepare yourself for a better relationship?
What I'm doing different is to prepare myself for a better relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in the initial stages of communication, I'm actively listening now. I'm listening. And then
to even understand if that's something that you
right.
want. Okay.
And it's like, I don't want to say vetting because that's so harsh. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean venting? Like you or the other person?
You know how you vet people out? You be like,
oh, vet. I thought you said venting. Okay.
No, not vetting, but vetting people out. Like,
mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm asking all of the important questions in the beginning so I won't have no surprises in the middle and in the end.
So do you think you ignored red flags in your past?
Yes, I have.
Right?
Why? And because of the likeness of the person.
Okay.
Any person that you like, you think that you can work with certain behavioral traits, and you can like, I can try to adjust this. Like women think that they can adjust men. It's just the same thing, right? And you try to tweak it to where y'all can manage together and continue to move forward and grow to where it won't be an issue that divides. And so asking the important questions in the beginning and then watching the behavior of the person in the way that they talk to you, in the way that they relate to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a firm believer that your actions, your behavior, and your attitude really shapes how you perceive me and how you relate to me. And so I ask you that question.
What question would you like to ask me?
I'm asking you, what are you doing?
Definitely actively listening.
Actively listening?
Yeah. And making sure that as I actively listen, that my actions line up with my words as well.
Right.
Because, you ever heard the saying, you don't look anything like what you've been through?
Exactly.
I was a master at looking like what I wasn't going through. Mm-hmm. And even when I thought I was a master. When I go back and I look at some of my old videos or my old pictures, I'm like, oh man, I was really going through, and I can see it in the picture. So I think I'm not looking like what I'm going through, but your facial expressions, how you move will show a lot about you. Right. So I'm definitely actively listening. I'm listening to get a better understanding and not just a response. I'm raising, I've raised men. Right. So, even looking at their relationships and how they interact with women and things of that nature, I'm learning from that. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to get a better understanding of just men and how you all move, because I think that if I have a better understanding, I can better coexist in a relationship. I'm patient now. Mm-hmm. You and I have had offline conversations where I'm like, yeah, this is that or whatever. But now I really feel like I'm patient. Right. And when you say that you are something, God will test you. Facts. And that's how you know if you're that or if you're not. And he's definitely tested me. Mm-hmm. And so now I can honestly say I'm patient now. I've had conversations with other individuals. When you said growing up, you look at people like, I don't want to be like that, or I want to be like that. And I was asked a question yesterday by Dr. Perry. He was just like, at what point in your life did you feel like you wanted better? And I'm like, I just got tired of being sick and tired. You know, when you see something like a watch or some shoes somebody have on and it looks so good and you're like, man, where you get that from? That's how I was when I saw peace. I was like, man, where you get that from?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because
right.
I want some of that. You always smiling. You always, this, like, why you always smiling? I want to know why. Let me go where you go to.
Right.
So in order for me to have obtained what I wanted, I had to go to where the people was getting it. I wanted to hang out where they hung out at. I wanted to be around the environments they were at because I was looking mad all the time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize how mad and how bitter I was until I moved away from Milwaukee.
Right.
Because when I moved to Memphis, people be like, why are you looking so mean? I'm like, I'm not looking mean.
Yes.
And so when I came back to Milwaukee after being gone for so long, and I'm like, what is everybody mad about? I was like, oh, it took me to get out this environment, to get around people that were actually a little bit more happier and at peace in their life, to realize, oh my God, all that bitterness and that being mad and all that stuff rubbed off on me.
Right.
So, I wanted some peace. I wanted some happiness. But overall, I've learned how to really be patient. I've learned how to really listen. And I've learned how to really just, we have in our minds how some things may turn out. Sometimes it's based on what we see and what people do or things of that nature. And then when it doesn't turn out that way, it's just like, now I didn't see this coming.
Exactly.
We just had a situation like that.
Yes.
And so I've learned to just really, Kevin and I talk a lot about trusting the process. Mm-hmm. But what about when that process hurts?
So I got a twofold question to ask you.
Okay.
Right? The one question is, like, why is it so hard for a woman to submit to her man when she know that he's qualified to lead?
One of the reasons it's hard for me to answer that question because I've never had a man that I should submit to.
Right.
So I can't speak for a woman who does have a man that she should submit to. Every woman that I know who has a really good man, a really good husband, submits to them. Mm-hmm. So for the ones who don't, I can only assume that they're not used to it. So I'll give you an example. My brother, Kev, my brand manager, until he started opening doors for me, I didn't know what it felt like for a man to open doors for me. The first guy I ever went out with that opened the door for me, I was just like, and he was like, you ain't used to guys open the door for you? I said, not where I come from. It took my brother to get me to a point where now I expect it. Mm-hmm. So if I go out on a date with a man, I'll wait until he opens my door now. Before, and he would get on me like, how does that door handle feel? And I'm like, what are you talking about? But it took him to keep saying that to me to be like, oh.
Right.
But my brother had to teach me that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So for women who find it hard to submit to a man, they're not used to it. I just said yesterday, I told my aunt, I never saw my aunt be treated by men like queens or like I saw them argue all the time. I saw them like just be mad all the time. So growing up, I thought when you're married, you're supposed to be mad at your spouse all the time. Right. You're supposed to argue. Right. This is what I saw growing up. Right. Until I got out of my environment and I started seeing healthy relationships in other communities. I didn't see it in my community. Okay. I didn't see it in the church. Okay. And so when I started seeing it, I was like, again, I want some of that. Yeah. So I think the women who don't submit, they don't think the men in their lives are worth them submitting to. And some of it is they're just not used to it. So the ones who do have good men, they have to get used to those good men so that they can learn how to submit to them. Sometimes we need y'all to teach us how to submit because we may not have gotten it from our mothers.
Exactly. And so, we have a lot of offline conversations.
We do.
Right? And we understand exactly like who we are as people outside of our professional realm. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I wanted to ask the question, because you understand the caliber of the person. Like I understand the value and the caliber of the person that's in front of me, and you understand the value of the caliber of the person in front of you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so my question wasn't for those who do not step up for their responsibilities, but for those who embrace their responsibilities and is looking to be, you know what I'm saying, the front runner and like, hey, listen, this is the direction in which we can go, and your voice is always heard. And not only that, is that wherever your vision is, we're gonna put it out there. We go listen.
Right.
We go back it. So it's not a one-sided thing. Submission is not a one-sided thing, right?
Explain what submission is, because maybe that's what some women's confusion is. I think sometimes when we hear submit, it's like bow down, do what you tell me to do. So what is submission to you?
So submission is, right, understanding that, knowing the person that you with. A lot of us don't know our partners.
Mm-hmm.
We just want somebody, right? Knowing the person that you with, knowing that the person that you with has your best intentions, everything at heart, and is moving in that direction, moving in that aspect, not feeding into the insecurities, not feeding into the negative thoughts, not feeding into the negative conversations, not calling you out your name, not being disrespectful towards you. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a matter of, listen, I understand where he at. I know that I could put my all in him without him hurting me, because there's no reason why I would intentionally hurt you. And it goes the same for us, because we have to submit to y'all as well. Because
Now, I've never heard a man say that.
Because just think about it. When I come home from a hectic day at work and I come home to my wife or significant other, I'm looking for peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order for you to be at peace with me, I have to do all of the things that's necessary in order to foster that. Because everything is a buy-in. You want me to buy into you, I pour into you, you got to pour into me. But the pouring in has to be based upon realistic expectations. A lot of times we set unrealistic expectations on ourselves. Like, a person told me this, like, the deal breaker for me is to lie. If you lie to me, that's a deal breaker. I'm gone. We lie every day of our life. Mm-hmm. And I asked the person, do you not lie? Sometimes. So why would you make that a deal breaker when you know that is not realistic?
So do you think it's okay to lie to the person that you're in a relationship with?
Lying and the omission of truth is different.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Lying and the omission of truth is different.
Okay.
Right? Like, if you ask me, how did your day go? Right? And I know I had a real hectic day. And it's something in my day I don't want to relive or bring it to this house. Right? I'm be like, hey, listen, it was all right. You know what I'm saying?
What about cheating?
That is unacceptable.
That's a deal breaker for you?
That is exactly a deal breaker.
Why?
Because the simple fact is, it's an invasion of privacy. If somebody cheats on me, that means that there's a disconnect in the whole relationship. And so when there's a disconnect, then what are we doing? Because you're going outside of me for everything that you need in me. Mm-hmm. And you don't feel that I'm valuable enough to you to communicate where my flaws is.
So that's just unforgivable if somebody cheats.
Yeah, yes.
And that's understandable. Sometimes that's a lot of people's deal breaker. Like, I can't do the cheating. Is it? Have you always felt that way, or have you forgiven somebody that's cheated on you before?
No, I always felt that way, because you exposed me to certain things, STDs, right? You telling my secrets to somebody, especially when a woman. My belief is, when a woman cheats on her man, there has to be an emotional connection attached to it. So she's expressing her dissatisfaction with her man in a relationship. And so you telling somebody else about my imperfections who I have no knowledge of. So it's a violation on so many different levels.
Okay. That's a good point.
What are your thoughts?
On cheating?
Yes.
Well, I've definitely been cheated on before, and I did forgive, but back then I was insecure too, and I lacked a lot of confidence. But now I definitely wouldn't deal with cheating. I wouldn't deal with disrespect. I wouldn't deal with cheating, because it would always, I've forgiven cheating, and it's like it never left my thoughts. Right. I'm going to always think that when you're not here, that's what you're doing, and this and that. So it just, to me, now I'm not at peace anymore. So yeah, I wouldn't deal with cheating.
Okay.
So there was a previous interview that we did where the question came up that it's okay to lie to women because they can't handle the truth. And my response was, no, don't lie to me. Don't make that decision for me. Tell me the truth. But I think that that's a conversation that needs to be had at the beginning of a relationship. How I feel about, the truth, the lie, and things of that nature. So when it comes to relationships and decisions that are made that could be detrimental or that could destroy a relationship, how do you feel about that. Like if you did something that you know whoever you're in a relationship with, they would be hurt, they would be, feel whatever type of way it could possibly destroy you, and they found out, would you be truthful about that?
So I'm going to lie or withhold the truth depending on how I value the person at that time.
Okay.
Right? So in the beginning of all relationships, right? Once the novelty wore off, you got the going out to the movies and then the going out on dinners and dates. He's showing her what you worth. She's showing you like, hey, this is the attraction part. Then the relationship started to settle. Then the Netflix and chilling, and you know what I'm saying? Going to Walmart, the day-to-day aspect of life and the routines of life.
It is so important that your man goes to Walmart with you, by the way.
And you begin like to see, you really get to know the person. And when you get to knowing them, then it's about how much can you deal with their flaws and how much can she deal with your flaws, because it's not necessarily always the man that's looking to go outside or looking to do something that is deceitful, right? And so when you ask a person 2-3 years into the relationship, say you ask your woman, hey baby, how do you really feel about me? And she goes like, why you ask me that question? That's the pause, right? And when you like, because I really want you to know. Now it's like, okay, do I really tell them the truth, or do I just like keep everything cool? Because people don't want any disruptions in their day-to-day life, in their day-to-day routine. And so when you ask a person a hard question and you're looking for a hard answer, they don't want to hurt your feelings. Because how many times did you not want to hurt somebody's feelings in a relationship?
The person who's withholding the truth doesn't want to hurt the other person's feeling.
So just think about this. In your previous relationships, when your man asked you a straight up legitimate question about how you thought about him, and he asked you to tell him the truth, were you always truthful?
I'm glad the last one didn't ask me to tell him the truth.
But I'm saying,
that would have been an argument.
Right. But are you always truthful, or are you going to be like, hey?
I don't think I've had a man ask me that. I've told him that just because I wanted to, because I always think it's important to tell or let a person know how you feel about them, even if they don't ask. But I don't think a man has asked me that.
Interesting.
It is interesting. You know what I won't do anymore going forward? I won't be telling a man that I love him until I know for sure that he loves me and he tells me that and shows me that.
You won't tell him that you love him unless he tells you that?
Unless he shows me and tells me that.
Unless he tells you and shows you that?
Yes.
Right?
Like if I fall in love first, he won't know that. I won't tell him that. I've done that, and every time I've done that, it's backfired on me. So
ask me this. I'm going to ask you this question. What are the ways that you feel that someone can show you love?
You want me to talk about how I feel, or you want me to talk about my reality?
No, I'm saying it's coinciding as one, because when you say you won't tell a person you love them until he tells you first, and then he shows you.
Both.
Right. So that's a twofold thing, right? How are you able to receive that?
How am I able to receive him showing and telling me that?
Yeah, how would you be able to recognize it?
So I would be able to tell if a man loves me by his actions. I don't think I've experienced that yet in my life. And so I've really realized some things in the past that, like, I like to really, like, encourage people and, give them their props and uplift them even when they don't feel like they're uplifting themselves, even when they feel like a piece of crap. I like to, not just pump their head up, but if I see value in them, or if I see some skills in them that they don't see, I like to pull it out and point it out. But in the past, every man that I've ever gotten into a serious relationship, I've always told them, well, except for one guy, but I don't think he meant that because his actions didn't line up. But most guys that I've gotten into a serious relationship, I've only been in 4 serious relationships in my life. And each time, most of them, I've always said, I love you first, and tried to really show my loyalty. But I didn't get the same in return. And I think that's why I ended up enabling them. So going forward in my future, when I do get in a relationship, he has to, if he loves me or he likes me a whole lot, his actions have to line up with that.
So You're saying his actions has to line up with that.
Yes.
So I'm gonna challenge you just a little bit.
Oh wow, here goes
Right.
the challenge.
Based on the fact that you are, according to what you just said to me, are setting a standard for a new person in your life, right? That if he don't meet these expectations,
I didn't say expectations.
these are the standards. Your
You
standards.
said standards, not me.
You said that you are not going to tell him that you love him first, even though that you loving him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are not going to give him words of affirmation.
Love. I'm not going to tell him I love him.
Right. Love.
First.
Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Love. Right. Did you ask what your love is based upon him? Why did you love him so much?
Did I ever ask the guy that?
No, I'm just saying, did you ask yourself, like, I love this guy. Why do I love him? Right? And so a lot of times, right, we start off in new relationships shooting ourselves in the foot, sabotaging ourselves based upon our prior lived experiences, based on the fact that no one has ever told you that they loved you first is causing you to withhold. And so therefore, if no one ever told you that they loved you first, right, how would you be able to see and respond to somebody who's showing you the love? How would you be able to recognize it if it's something that you're not used to?
I'd have to answer that question when I get there.
But guess what? How can you answer an unknown question when you don't be able to see it when it's in your face based upon your lived experiences?
I mean, I guess if it ever happens, I can answer that question. I can get back. We have to table that, and I can get back to you because I see what you're saying about that, and I know where you're going with that. And to answer one of your questions about, what was it about them, why I said it. So I'll use my ex-husband for an example. We were really, really good friends. Like, he was the first guy that I called my friend, and like when I say friend, he protected me, but I knew he was out there bad. But he protected me. He was the first guy that really, really, like, I was shy, and he showed me a lot of attention. He was the first guy I ever brought home to my mother. He respected my mother, all that. And as a kid, I don't think we really know what love is because we're a kid. We know to love our parents. We know to love our siblings and things like that. But when it comes to a boy that we like, I can't actually say that when I felt like I loved him, that was actually love because I was a kid. But I can say that, as I became an adult, I tolerated it. I tolerated him. Can I say I loved him? Yes, I can say I really did. I was in love with him a little bit too much. Thought I could never shake him. But the older we get, the more we grow. I think that in every relationship, we're supposed to learn something from it. So in every relationship, I've learned from that. And when I say I'm not going to tell a guy that I love him first, when I say that, I'm not going to say it if I'm not really for sure. If I fall in love, if we fall in love, and I realize that I've fallen in love based on my past lived experiences, I don't think I'm gonna say it first.
See, it's a difference.
What's the difference?
You said love and in love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love is the initial steps when you're in relations with people to falling in love. So when you communicate with somebody and they touch a different part of you, you meeting people where they at. You're not living your life based on what happened in the past.
True.
When you have an opportunity with a new person to create all new things.
True.
So this is another issue that I have with the women that I attract in my life, right? Because they've been so broken based upon their past experiences. And now they can put years in between the brokenness and the healing. But the key thing about healing is that you can't heal by yourself. You can go and say, we can set standards like, this is what I'm not going to accept no more. This is
right.
the type of person that I'm going to look for. We tell ourselves all different type of things, right? However, you attract the people that are like you. So we're all broken in some aspects of life. And through our brokenness is where we really start healing, because we're looking to heal with each other, to bond and fuse with each other as a unit, as one. And so in that, we're relinquishing all of our past mistakes. all of our past behavior, because we understand that the person that's in front of me, out of all the people in the world that I'm attracted to, this is the person. Why? We never ask why.
That's a good point.
Why were you placed in my life at this specific time in order for me to start something new with you, to give me a reset?
Are you asking me that, or are you hypothetically?
No, this is a question that I ask myself, and a question that we should all ask ourselves.
When you think about reasons and seasons, I've been able to now identify who reasons and seasons are in my life. Before, people who were sent for a season, I was trying to make them a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that even if people are in our life for a season, they still had some type of, stamp on our life. They were part of that process.
Mm-hmm.
No, I have not asked that question, like, why was this person sent to my life? Like, what was I supposed to get from that until I met you?
Mm-hmm.
And so, the offline conversation that we had,
Yes.
I said this to you. I'm
Yes.
like, you know what? I had to really think about, you're not one of those people that I know you're here temporary.
Right.
We've said that to each other.
Right.
So what am I supposed to get out of this? So I have actually learned how to communicate better with men in talking to you. And there were some days where I kind of cringed, like, oh.
Yes. Yes. You was
But I
upset.
listened.
Yes.
I did not get upset.
You was like,
But I listened. There's days where I've talked to Kev and I'm like, I don't like what you're saying, but I'm going to listen.
right.
And when I'm talking to a man, I hear him in the back of my head saying this, and I'm like, dang, he was right.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to somebody else and I hear you in the back of my head, like, oh, he said that. And by the way, don't bill me for that either.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that you were sent in my life to prepare me for another journey.
Yes.
That's what I received that as, and I'm going to leave that there.
Yes. Based on friendship and the way we communicate, our communication style is a learning journey for the both of us.
Indeed.
Because we learn from each other and we grow based on the knowledge that our lived experiences and our current experiences teach us. And so you have people in your life that are agents. So
That are who?
Agents.
Mm-hmm.
Agents of growth, agents of self-correction, agents of accountability partners. And so when you have those type of people in your life, you see the value, and the value is bigger than any personal aspect of life.
What do you think you've learned from women that you consider friends?
The most important thing that I learned from the women friend in my life is understanding perception, because a woman look at life way different than a man do.
Most definitely.
And so in that, it allows me to not be so stringent in my communication with other people. It allows me to develop compassion on things of which I feel that I have no tolerance for. It gives me tolerance, because having good relationship with women allows you to develop fully as a man, because it allows you to become complete in your understanding and your perception on how you move in this world. That is why women are so important in the nurturing and in the care of men, and also in relationships. As I stated before, a woman's power in the relationship with her man is how she moves his energy. By the way that she moves his energy, I mean the way that she communicate with him. The little things that she do allows the romantic part to come out of men, right? Because women be like, my man ain't romantic. What are you doing to make him feel like you value him? Because the more value you put in him, the more you get in return.
Okay.
And so that's the key in having good women relationships in your life.
That was dope, by the way.
Thank you.
So I want to kind of pivot a little bit. Thank you for your responses, because I learned a lot from you today again.
Yes.
And I'm not paying you for that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the work that you're here to do. I know earlier you mentioned about your housing program. From what I tell the viewers, like what it is that you're working on outside of your work that you do with your mentorship.
I created my own housing property rental company for people that's coming home from incarceration that don't have any place to live, and allow them to become independent, and then also to provide them with housing and rental history so that they can have a platform to reconstruct their life.
What are some of the services you're going to be offering while they're in your housing?
Based upon the completion of my projects, I'm going to offer cognitive intervention, sober living, day-to-day financial literacy, those day-to-day things that we need in order to survive in the world.
Okay.
Because you have to understand that when a person has been incarcerated, his world stopped the day that he got incarcerated. And so from that day until they get out is a huge gap. And so when they come home, a lot of times people don't have housing to come home to, or they have a girlfriend or a woman or a wife who they're coming home to that they don't really know. And so they're going from one set of rules to another set of rules. And so that causes friction and recidivism rate, and it contributes to a lot of things with helplessness and things of that nature. And so I'm looking to curb the recidivism rate, which is the highest in the state in Wisconsin.
Yeah. How long can someone stay in your house?
From anywhere from 6 months to a year.
Okay. So when they leave, will you still be providing assistance, or just only while they're in the house?
No, I believe in connection points, and I also believe in the fact that when someone is coming home, you like a baby, and so the continuous support, the continuous word for affirmation, to be a continuous ear is important, because a lot of times when a person has been incarcerated, they do not have the relatability skills to someone who's been free, because they have no idea what they're talking about or what they have experienced in life. And so building a support system for those who are coming home from incarceration and be able to manage their day-to-day life is important.
And so, what encouraged you to do this?
Based upon some of my lived experiences in life.
Do you feel like you didn't have that support when you needed it?
The one aspect of support I didn't have was the housing aspect.
Okay.
And so I had to create an opportunity while I was there. I utilized the opportunity to secure housing and things of that nature. So therefore, I wouldn't be put in a negative situation. A lot of us are not that fortunate.
I understand. Anything else you would like us to know about your program?
Other than the fact that it's work in progress, we will continue to get the funding and things that's necessary in order to sustain it. So,
what's your anticipation or your anticipated date of opening or launching?
Probably my anticipation date is March of next year.
All right. So, Mr. Sharp, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
You did amazing.
Thank you.
I definitely wish you the best in your programming. We offer the same type of programming, so I'm here if you need any type of advice. I definitely think it's needed. I don't think it's ever going to be enough out here, because there's so many people that need it. But once we get people to understand that we have to be the change that we want to see when it comes to helping individuals in this magnitude, then I think that we can be a better supporter of those who are coming home. So I commend you for even giving back to the community.
Yes,
Good
thank
job.
you. Hey, thank you for having me. And I'm a continued supporter of LB. So you have a good day and have a blessed life. And we will continue to move forward.
Likewise.